Honor.
Good afternoon. This is Honor Feedy with NAESP. I'd like to welcome you all to this afternoon's webinar session on middle-level conversations, leading and teaching for student learning tools to improve your teacher development. This is a joint production with NASSP, and I'm going to turn it over to Joe Franklin. Joe?
Welcome to the first webinar in a three-part series of middle-level conversations. The purpose of this webinar is to introduce you to the Leading Success Toolkit. Today's conversation will be around the module on leading and teaching for student learning. I'm Josephine Franklin, Associate Director with NASSP, one of the developers that worked on creating this toolkit. NASSP developed the Leading Success Toolkit in collaboration with the College Board. It is a free, yes free, online toolkit for school leaders that integrates current research, planning strategies, and implementation tools with video interviews and real-world examples of school improvement strategies. More recently, NASSP has partnered with NAESP to get this toolkit into the hands of K-12 school leaders who work in their schools to improve teaching and learning. Both NAESP and SSP have a shared interest in the middle grades, so that will be the focal point of our webinars. I'd like to introduce you to my colleagues that will be participating in today's webinars. Honor Feedy is a project manager with NAESP and responsible for organizing this webinar. Honor and I are the points of contact for Leading Success Collaboration. Our contact information is at the end of this presentation should you have any questions. The real stars of this webinar are practitioners who have used the toolkit. Maribel Childress is principal of Monitor Elementary School in Springdale, Arkansas. For 23 years, she has enjoyed a career dedicated to serving high-poverty, minority, and language minority children. Maribel is considered a state and national leader in education, having shared her work and thinking with numerous professional organizations, universities, publications, and conferences. In recognition of her work, Maribel was designated the 2008 Arkansas Principal of the Year, 2009 National Distinguished Principal, and 2010 Arkansas Master School Principal. We also have Dr. Matt Saferite, former principal of M.O. Remay Junior High School in Fayetteville, Arkansas, joining us. Just recently, Matt has become the Professional Development Coordinator for Bentonville School District in Arkansas. However, it was during his tenure at Remay Junior High that Matt was named the 2006 Assistant Principal of the Year, 2009 Arkansas Principal of the Year, and Remay Junior High School was designated a 2011 MetLife Foundation NASSP Breakthrough School. It was that designation as a breakthrough school that led the College Board and NASSP to select Remay Junior High School to be profiled in the Leading Success Toolkit. Now I'm going to turn the program over to our two distinguished practitioners to guide us through the Leading Success Toolkit.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Honor. I'd like to welcome all our attendees that are joining us for this webinar today. I know how busy it is, whether you've already started school, as many in the Southeast have. We've been in school for a few days now, or some of you are getting ready to start in the next week or so. Regardless, I know everybody's busy with their new school year. So welcome, and thank you for taking this time to join us. We trust this will be beneficial development for you. I'm going to apologize that Maribel is not able to join us today. All of you administrators out there know that sometimes things happen, and the text I got from her earlier today said she's got the Hatfields and the McCoys going at it in her building, including the police involvement, stuff like that. So she sends her regrets. We'll miss her involvement in that, but she will participate in future webinars, and we'll talk about those future webinars at the end of our session today. So thank you again, and we'll move forward, unfortunately, without Maribel. Let me just give you a little bit of the agenda today, three main parts. We're going to walk through the leadingsuccess.org website. I'm going to start out with a general overview and talk about several different components that are included in the website. We will have time for questions and answers at the end of the session, and we'll also give, Joe and Honor will give information about our future webinars towards the end of the session and ask for some feedback on how today was. The overview, I'm going to really break into two parts. We're going to assume that nobody has seen the site yet, so we're going to take participants, we're going to take you from the very beginning as if you have not seen the site. I apologize if that's a little redundant for some of you that may have been on there a little bit, but we're going to start from scratch and look at the overview, the several main components, and then we will transition to looking at least one specific activity as an example of what activities are included in there. Throughout the entire session, you have the ability to chat in a question. If there's questions that you have, you can go ahead and use the chat feature of the GoToWebinar and chat in a question, and we will try to answer those as we go along. We will take a specific break when I transition from the general overview and transition to the specific learning activity. I'll ask for questions to be chatted in at that time, and then, like I said, we will ask for questions at the end. We'll have kind of a question and answer feature at the end. Our goal for today, we want to reach out to school leaders. Both NAESP and NAESP have really done a lot of work in reaching out to school leaders, and I wanted to emphasize really right from the beginning here that when I use the term school leader during this webinar and speaking on behalf of the two professional organizations, school leaders does not mean formal leadership. It certainly includes those of you that are in formal leadership positions, whether that's the central office level, building level, we're talking principals, assistant principals, but when we use the term school leaders, both myself and the two professional organizations, we're talking much broader than that. Whether you have a formal position or a formal title of leadership or not, we see, both organizations see school leadership as being available, and everybody should be taking advantage of that. So I want to make sure we're clear about that, that this is a tool that school leaders can access regardless of your formal position. Teachers, instructional coaches, anyone has access to this site. Joe talked about this. Yes, this is a free online toolkit available any time, any way you have internet access. It is, has included current research. College Board and the professional organizations have done a great amount of research to include in these modules that we're going to explore here a little bit. Planning strategies, implementation tools, video interviews, guides, handouts, and lots of real-world examples. So the schools that are highlighted in here and the activities that are included should look like schools that you are in and in your area. So it should be real relevant to anybody that's looking at this site, using this site. The site itself, this is a picture of the home page. Again, we're going to go to the live site here in a minute, but this is just a picture. Again, the website is leadingsuccess.org, and both organizations have made a real effort to make this relevant to anybody regardless of the setting that you're in. There are 11 different what they call profiled schools in here, and you can see the list here. 11 different schools. This list is encompassing of schools that are urban, rural, suburban, large, very large, several thousands of students in the school, to very rural, few hundred or less. We've got East Coast, West Coast, North, South, really any different set of demographics that could be included or identified in the school are included in here. So there may not be one that looks exactly like yours, but should be one very comparable. Several great middle schools in here. I'll highlight Teff Middle School. When I was principal of Ramey Junior High School, I really enjoyed getting to know the folks at Teff and learning from them. I'm going to highlight in a few minutes, I'm going to highlight the Menominee Indian Middle School up in Wisconsin. So lots of great schools here, and this gives you a real taste of the schools that are profiled in here. So the site highlights 11 different profiled schools, and the site includes what we call learning modules. There are 10 different learning modules, and you should see on your screen those 10 modules. Again, we'll go to the live site in just a minute, but again, these are modules that should be relevant regardless of the context you're working in. Large, small, urban, suburban, rich, poor, doesn't matter. Everybody, I think all of us administrators, teacher leaders, regardless of your position, we want to develop leadership in our building. We need to use data. We want an inclusive school culture. We want collaborative leadership. All of these modules are focused on being relevant and applicable to a school leader in any context. The foundation of this work, just a little bit more background on that, from both NAESP and NAESP, is built on the idea of these overlapping areas that all need to work together to improve student performance. The three large areas you can see here are the collaborative leadership, PLC type learning for staff, the personalization of school environment for students, and the refinement, continual refinement of curriculum, instruction, assessment. So as those three are being improved upon, they will certainly have impact on other areas, with the end result obviously being improved student performance, what we want for all our kids. So this is really the foundation for the work that this website includes. Some of the modules will focus real specifically on a given area, like personalizing your school environment. That's not to the exclusion of any of these areas. It's not to the exclusion. It's with the mindset that as a school or district focuses on improved personalization, that is going to carry over to the curriculum instruction side, the leadership side. So that's the overlap that this program is built on. At this time, I'm going to switch real quickly to our live site. Again, this is what the Leading Success website looks like, and the 10 modules that I mentioned before. And I'm going to go to this Leading and Teaching for Student Learning. And I'm going to give you an overview of what's on the page, what's on the module. Again, you can chat in questions. If I'm going too fast or I need to clarify something, go ahead and chat in those questions, and we'll try to answer that as we go along. Again, highlights that this should be applicable and relevant to you regardless of situation. It's research-based. The two professional organizations understand a significant role that they have in serving their membership is doing the research that, quite honestly, school leaders just don't always have the time to do. Example, our friend Maribel that was going to present with us today, it's the urgency of dealing with these situations. She doesn't have the time to be doing exhaustive research and guiding her professional development. This is a tool that can help you significantly with that. It's intended to be a time saver for you. I live in the land of Walmart. This is, I'm sorry to offend Target folks, but this is Walmart PD. This is one-stop shopping. You've got your research, you've got your professional organizations, you've got blogs, you've got different activities. It's all one-stop shopping for you right here. Okay, so let's go through and look at some of the general parts of this. The first thing, in all the modules, there will be at least one or two. Some of them have 3 different videos that kind of give a nice summary of what this module focuses on. So let's play this video at this time that gives you just a quick snippet of what a couple different schools are doing in terms of leading and teaching for student learning. This will help you learn more about this site, but also as you're watching this, think about how it could be used with your staff in professional development activities. So let's play this now and then we'll come back to it.
Instead of focusing completely on what you're lacking, you work with what you do have and kind of build the system around that.
At Menominee Indian Middle School on the Menominee Indian Reservation in Neopet, Wisconsin, school leaders seek a balance between finding a future forward and preserving and reintegrating a rich heritage, one that has sustained their community among the area's lush primeval forests for millennia. In a community where leadership is needed, cultural heritage is the thread that can mend achievement gaps and make positive alterations in the school culture.
The Tanaway Makanak, all family, all related. So when the kids get that visualization in their mind, they're holding the string and they're holding on tight, that's when they can start saying, yeah, we're all weaved together. Now you're putting a mental model into their mind, something they can go back to.
Grace Caspar and others worked with local officials and research institutions to allow students access to the otherwise protected 234,000-acre Menominee Forest. The thinking was, if the protected forest could continue to sustain the community with a carefully managed lumber industry, it could also become a classroom where students could learn lessons in management, science, and economics, as well as ones in biology and cultural sustainability.
Our name, Menominee, means people of the wild rice. So wild rice is extremely important to our sustenance. When it's wild rice time, it's September. So when we start our school year, that whole month is wild ricing time. And during that time, whatever the teachers are teaching, they'll connect it to wild ricing in some way.
We can say that we've got many challenges in our community, but we got a lot of hope. And the other thing we have is we've got data to show that we are making that steady improvement in terms of dealing with those challenges that were forced upon us years ago.
A teacher leader is someone who levels the playing field, making learning more accessible to all while still allowing students who are ready to advance to do so.
I've got a first-year teacher on campus this year, and the first 3 or 4 days of school, they didn't do any math per se in his algebra classroom. If you walked in there, you would not see any math going on. He brought in cinder blocks and 2x4s and did kind of challenge activities, what a lot of people would call a team building activity. Given 3 or 4 cinder blocks and a couple 2x4s, and the class had to get every member of their class from one side to the other, from point A to point B, using just these tools without touching the ground. Well, that's not math per se, but developing that foundation of kids communicating with each other, working with each other, solving problems together. That's what we want out of kids. Okay, that's what employers want. That's what parents want. That's what colleges want. That's the kids' future.
It's what students and teacher leaders learn along the way that often offers solutions to the lessons at hand. Creative scaffolding techniques create a structure for learning until students reach the level where they understand the material independently.
When we walked in the door in 2006, it's right at 40% of our kids were passing the 8th grade math high-stakes exam in Arkansas. We're up pushing 80%. About the same, about 38% of our kids were passing algebra. We were over 90% last year. I mean, when you're getting 40 and 50% gain on your state testing, and we don't do any test prep, we don't prepare explicitly for the test. When I get those kind of gains, and we're not even technically preparing for it, I mean, that's all the evidence I'm ever going to need. Okay, so that's just an example of a type of video that's available in here. And as I said earlier, there's always a couple different videos that you can use if you're going to use one of these modules with your staff and have a nice introduction to see what other schools are doing, kind of pique your staff's interest, start generating some questions. That's a nice piece that's available on all of these modules. Also included in all the modules, I want to highlight several different areas. If you'll go down this side here, we're going to come over and look at the collaborative activities in more detail here in just a minute. But I do want to make sure that everybody's aware of these boxes down the side right here, these 3 boxes right here. On every module, there is this want to know more question. The format here is consistent. There's this want to know more section that you can click on that has an exhaustive list of resources, research, reports. You can see here websites, links, a whole wealth of information here that you don't have to go looking for. This is educational experts that are vetting this and finding what works best in schools and giving you the tools that you need right at your hand as quick as you can to find this information. You can find more information about the schools that are profiled in here. Again, the vast majority of this is free. There are a few places that there is a cost for things, but the vast majority of everything in here is free. There are these recommended readings where you can go into more depth with your staff or individually or PLC groups that want to focus in a particular area where you can reinforce a teacher's strength or a teacher's particular focus in an area. So that's available on all these modules, all 10 of these modules. These kind of resources are available in here. Very high quality, should give you a lot of flexibility as you're doing your professional development, your staff development. So let me go back. That's always on all 10 of these modules. There is the research focus, what the research focus shows, books, articles, peer reviews, all this kind of stuff. This is the real meaty research behind this particular model. And again, this is available in all 10 modules. But if you want the real research, whether it's books or university reports or whatever, those kind of things in here. You'll recognize these names as we're going through here: the Guskys, the Marzanos, all those kind of people, all those kind of things. That's all available in here. Again, all of this is reinforcing those modules, so you don't have to spend your time going out and looking for it. It's certainly not dictating anything to you. It's just giving you the flexibility that you need as a school leader, making this available, and hopefully giving you the tools that you need for high-quality staff development while saving you time. The last section, direct connection to edweb.net. I'm sure several of you or many of you are familiar with edweb.net. Both NAESP and NAESP work closely with edweb.net, professional network for educators. So you've got that connection right there, right through this Leading Success website. And you, at the bottom here, you have links to the other modules also included in here. But I usually just go through the top right here and stuff. Doesn't matter. Just your web links through there. Okay, at this time, I'm going to take just a minute, and if you want to take a minute and write some notes to yourself or process something, or you want to chat in a question to us, if you haven't already, we'll take just a minute here for you to process. We'll take 30 seconds for you to process, and we'll answer any questions that for the good of the group. Some questions might be just directly answered through chat, but if there's any questions that you want to ask right now to me or to the professional organizations, we can take a minute to do that, and then I'll move into one or more of these collaborative activities so that you can see the specifics of what this looks like. So we'll take just a few more seconds here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on. And again, just as a reminder, there are 10 learning modules in here. All of them, when you click on the link to the learning module, they all have this kind of format. Gives a little explanation of what that module is looking at. Gives 1 or 2 or 3 videos that kind of introduce and show best practices in those modules. Things that your staff would want to see, questions that could be asked. Let's look at the collaborative activities. For every one of these 10 modules, there's usually about a half dozen collaborative activities. So for this module, we've got 5 different collaborative activities that leaders can use with their staff. Large groups, small groups, doesn't matter. It's designed to give you that flexibility. Let's take a minute and we'll just look at this first one right here. Okay. So let me just highlight the formatting of these, because again, the formatting is consistent just for your ease of use. We'll look at this formatting and then we'll look into this more specifically. One of the things that I like best about this, and if I'm not clear, I don't work for NAESP or NAESP. I just like working with them, but I'm not on the payroll or anything. So you've got a practitioner validating this. One of the many things I like about this is it models good instruction. The things that we want to see in our classrooms, these modules and these collaborative activities model. For example, right off the bat, there is, if you want to call it a learning objective or your purpose or your learning outcome, whatever terminology you want to use, the purpose of what the learning needs to be is right here at the beginning. Okay, it's relevant to everybody, regardless of your school context. But it starts with what I call a learning objective, the purpose of why you're doing this. If you're going to ask your staff for their good time to go through this learning activity, you need to have a clear purpose in mind. This will help you ask the questions that you need to ask of yourself as a leader and ask your staff. Okay? This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about they're trying to make this as easy for you as possible. Okay? It goes down to the specificity of telling you what materials you need, right down to if you're going to do this activity, you need chart paper, markers, and sticky notes. Okay, so your learning doesn't get derailed by getting halfway through a meeting, a professional development activity or a PLC meeting or something, and realizing you don't have the materials you need to continue with that activity. It's going to take care of that for you. Breaks down the activity and gives you extension and application. So let's take just a minute and highlight. We won't actually complete this on this. This one is not intended to be an online activity. It's designed to be face-to-face. But let's go through here and highlight what we're seeing here. The group activity broken down, these bulleted items step by step. It will give you things that you can ask your staff to do ahead of time. I'm a big believer in practicing what I preach, and if I'm gonna ask kids in my building to do homework, it needs to be valuable and worthwhile. And I have a hard time letting teachers ask kids for homework if teachers aren't willing to do homework themselves. So I use this material a lot. Prior to the first meeting, you can give your teachers a link to a video. This is a free YouTube site. I'll play just a minute of this here.
When I became principal at Forest Grove High School in 2002, we saw a clear sign of underachievement academically. We had a high dropout rate. Half, or a little under half of our students read at the 10th grade level.
Okay, I'm just highlighting that as an example. That's a free resource. It's on YouTube. Your computer and internet connection is going to get you there, but it's relevant. Whether you may not be a high school, but I'd be willing to bet that you have students that are not reading at grade level, just like John O'Neill did at Forest Grove High School. Okay, so you've got a connection to him and his school right off the bat there with student reading level, if nothing else. So you've got that connection there. Gives you the video. It gives you additional resources for your staff to read, and then walks you step by step through it. So if you did not have time, or if you're trying to give your staff, empower your staff to take some leadership on professional development activities, this is going to walk them step by through it. As you break them up into small groups, watch the video, ask the questions, refine lists, and then bringing them back to have a whole group discussion. Again, just modeling what we want to see in the classroom. Walking through this particular module, I just happened to pick the first one. This is modeling what we want to see in the classroom. A good, relevant learning objective, high learner engagement. The learners happen to be adults in this case, but they're engaged because everybody's involved with this. We're getting down to an individual level, and then small groups, also making the connection back to a whole group, just like we want to see in the classroom. It's rigorous. It's got high level of blooms. This is not knowledge level of blooms. We're asking the tough questions, the whys, the purpose, where we want to be with our schools. So professional educators should be very immediately vested in this process going through here. All the content is very high quality, very relevant to anybody in there. As you're going through here, again, it's walking you step by step. Have chart paper for these kind of things. It will give you templates. It's talking about here this chart paper with these headings: quick wins, difficult task, and major tasks, helping you and your leaders as you're developing your staff. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Those things it was talking about right there. It will give you a plan for action template. So just those things it was talking about right there. You can use their template. Quick wins in these three particular areas, a little more moderate, difficult undertakings in these three areas, and your one or two really big, audacious goals you want to take on. You can capture those here. It's going to give you that template. It's going to give you those tools you need. It's going to extend it even further, taking it from these professional development activities to the communication, to the goal planning, to the strategizing of who's going to be responsible for what. The specific actions that are going to move your school forward as you focus on these particular areas. The progression that is, I don't see specifically written in here. This is not an educator-specific thing, but the progression that I see in here, it will help a school, regardless of level, with its professional development activities in what I see as 4 areas. It will help you with your approach, how you're going to do things. It will help you with your deployment, deploying your professional learning out across your organization, whether you're a small school with 10 or 15 staff members, or whether you're huge and you've got 300 or 400 staff members. It will help you with that deployment. It will help with your organizational learning, which any good organization, including schools and educational organizations, we need to focus on our organizational learning. and as professional educators, quite frankly, we ought to be modeling what professional learning in an organization looks like, and it helps with that integration. So the approach, deployment, learning, and integration, regardless of how sophisticated, how advanced you are in those 4 areas, this will help you continue to improve in all 4 of those. This last area I want to highlight here, it talks about an extension and application. Okay, again, so this is just the same thing we want in our classroom. We don't want our kids to learn something, walk out the door to their next class, or walk out the next day, or lose it over a weekend. We want that learning to be what some people call sticky. We want it to stick with them and not lose it just because they go to sleep one night and forget it the next day. Same thing with our staff. This will give you specific items that you can extend and apply your staff's learning to your day. Whether that be a small group like a leadership team, a site council, or your entire staff, it'll help you move forward in those areas. So that's one example of a learning activity. Let's just take a minute and look at a different one. Differentiation. I don't think there's a school in the country that isn't focusing in some way, shape, or form on how we differentiate for our students. Regardless of what kind of students we have, what kind of school we have, meeting individual kids' needs, breaking your large group up into small groups. Here's a nice relevant piece that as I travel around the country, everybody, regardless of how good we are, everybody's trying to do better. An admirable goal. Here's a nice tool that will help you with that. Again, clear purpose to start with, nice resources from books. Starts with a large group activity, reading, and gives you discussion points. I want to highlight this process. Take you. This is 3 overlapping Venn diagram that we saw before, but it's also talking about a school process that you can jump into at any point. Intended to kind of start at the top where you're gathering your data and working through solutions, building the improvement, and continually around here in the context of these this Venn diagram that we saw. Additional tools in those areas. Again, video clips, podcasts for the extension and application. Just wanted you to see another example of the kind of activities that are in here that you can pick up. You can get anytime at home, at work, pick these up and incorporate these into your staff's professional learning. With that, I'm going to answer any that get in here from any attendees. And at this time, turn the presentation back over to Joe and Honor to talk about some additional information for you.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. Really appreciate that overview. Again, as he said, if you have any questions for Matt as you've gone through this process and looked at some of these activities, we really want to do a poll to find out where you think these resources might be useful in your school with your professional development activities, or with maybe a problem or issue you're faced with right now as you begin the school year, and something, maybe a school goal that you'd like to address. So what I'd like to do is, put the poll, launch the poll, the question that we have. I'm going to launch it right now. And the question is, how relevant, applicable, and time-saving will the Leading Success Toolkit be for your school practice? Just looking at some of the activities, we realize you haven't had a chance to go through all of them, but in just this one module, do you see any application to your school right now? If so, we have got extremely useful, very useful, useful, and not too useful. So if you would take a moment and there you go. Fill that out. We will, in a minute, close it and share the results. In addition, as you're doing that, if you have questions, please feel free to use either the question box or chat box to write those questions in, and we'll ask Matt. Okay, I think we're about done here. We've got 100%. I'm going to go ahead and close it and share the results. For Matt, we have 50% thought the material was very useful, 25% thought it was extremely useful, and 25% thought it was useful. So it looks like we've got 100% found some use for it.
Excellent.
And right now, in looking at our question box and chat box, it doesn't look like we have any questions. Joe, do you think that you could maybe share with us about some of the future webinars and kind of our direction? Okay. Just to kind of update you all, this is one of a series, as Matt mentioned at the beginning. Our next webinar is October 1st, 2014, same time, same place. We will be featuring different modules with it. Matt, you'll be joining us again, right, with Maribel?
Yes, ma'am. Happy to.
Good, good. Any thoughts you'd like to share with the group on your future direction?
We're going to highlight a few different. We'd certainly like to hear from participants about areas that we can go into more depth. If you want to hear from Maribel, myself, or other administrators who are using this about if you need more specifics about how we're using this, whether that be faculty meetings, twice a month faculty meetings, or using it in PLC groups. If you need more information about the context, show our contact information here. Just a minute, and let any or all of us know what we can be doing to make this more useful. I would love to hear between now and then if any participants are getting out there and trying this over the next what do we have, 6 weeks?
Yes.
How you're using it, and suggestions and improvements and those kind of things.
Well, and Matt, I think that was one of the things that I liked best about these modules is that they're very adaptable to whatever situation a principal might be faced with, or a school leader, right? I mean, you can adapt it to whatever situation you have, right?
Of many strengths, one of them that I'm sure no other principal out there is like me, where sometimes you had a faculty meeting the next morning that quite honestly you didn't have planned. And instead of staying up till 2 in the morning planning it, you can go to this site and get good, relevant information. You can take it just exactly how it is and walk it through step by step, or you can take it and make it fit your own building culture, your DNA, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, the fact that it is one of the few things that I've come across in my 20 years that is able to be used, quote, right out of the box, right off the shelf, right off the web, right out of the box, but also gives you all the flexibility you need. There's been times in the past, and I know other administrators, that I might just go get one piece. It's become a starting point for me with research, with a PLC group or a small group that want to focus on a particular area, and the collaborative activities themselves, we're not going to take a whole group through or even a small group through, but we need the research piece. Well, there's a starting point for the research piece. So I certainly don't want to leave participants with the understanding that it's only about the collaborative activity. I just wanted to highlight that. We wanted to highlight that as one of the main pieces. But if this is a primary tool just for research, all the research that's in there is a great use for this. So to the participants, I would say make this work for you. Okay, make this work for you in whatever context, whatever setting you need it to.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joe. Joe, do you want to finish us out here?
Sure. So moving forward, just be mindful that this is very much a work in progress. We will be updating the toolkit and adding new content as things come to our attention. And as Matt mentioned, we would very much like to hear from you. So if you have ideas about more content or resources, or perhaps things that you think that you see that need to be included, by all means feel free to reach out to us and let us know. We'd appreciate an email message, and you can see here on our email addresses are here on the screen. So I want to thank you for participating in today's conversation. We hope you will join us on October 1st. when we will continue the conversation around developing leadership skills for change. And a little further down the road, on January 21st of 2015, we're going to discuss using data to assess and inform school change. So we look forward to continuing the conversation with all of you. Thank you so very much for your time today.